Okay, regular old standard tuning. In live versions, it's a lot slower. It's kind of hard to play it that fast. And on the record, there's like definitely multiple guitars. So I was doing something like trying to incorporate a bunch of stuff that I hear. And then it's finger picked. I was doing the whole thing with just thumb and index. That's kind of, I don't know, that seems like the style because it's the thumb, but you could definitely use more than, you could use other fingers. The thumb is always thumping the low note kind of evenly, you know, like this. So whatever the low note of the chord is, the thumb is just playing it in quarter notes like this, right? And then the what I was doing is, you could do it where it's like an exact pattern every time of just like, you know, sort of like just go picking in between some of the higher strings, just in between where your thumb is. And then sometimes it becomes a strum, but you could also just be looser, you know, kind of just pick where it feels right. So anyway, you can mess around with that. Okay, in the very beginning, it sounds to me like this chord. I mean, again, there's like multiple guitars. So I have my first finger on the 3rd fret of the low E and my 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the D. And then I'm just, again, the thumb is thumping this, and then I'm kind of like, index is just going G, B, G, D, G, B, G, D. Something like that. The intro is 6 measures of that. 4, 5, 6. And then you could stay on it when the verse happens. Da, 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 da. Or you could go to a regular G chord at the beginning of the verse. Live, I think he goes to a regular G chord. Would it take to B minor? So same thing. Now my thumb is on the B minor chord. Thumb is now playing the A string, and then like here, for instance, I could have my index finger go B, E, B, G, B, E, B. You know, so it's something like that. Okay. I also sometimes on the G in the verses was doing that little line. So that's 3rd fret on the high E, and then 2nd fret on the high E, and then open high E, and then 3rd fret on the B. You know, if you want to work in some of those melodic things, like. Okay, so it does that twice, G to B minor, and then it goes to E minor up here. So same A minor shape bar chord, but now off the 7th fret, 1st finger barring the 7th fret, 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the B, 3rd finger on the 9th fret of the D, and pinky on the 9th fret of the G. So then same thing, there's 2 bars here, back to B minor, and then to A. I was playing my A, just regular A, but sometimes I was playing it like this. This is an A7, playing it with my 1st finger barred on the 2nd fret of the D, the G, and the B, and then the 3rd finger getting the 3rd fret on the high E, and then to D. And back to B minor, to F sharp minor. So E minor bar chord off the 2nd fret there. And then D. Like when you go to a D, for instance, now my thumb is going to be thumping the D string, because that's now the low string. And then my index finger can just be doing B, E, B, G, B, right? You know? Whatever it is. Then G. G is the next chord. G. And then B minor to G to A to D. And that's the whole verse. The first verse is a double verse. The second verse only happens once, I think. I'll put a thing in the comments, in the description if I'm wrong about that. Okay, so then it goes into the next part. So now the pattern's finally gonna get broken up with the... That's what I hear. So it's a B minor chord, but it gets real quiet. So I played just these 3 notes, and then it's like... If I could... So this chord, this is that part of a B minor, and then now I'm just moving my pinky to the 5th fret on the G. You could also lift up and play it like this. This might be a little easier. First finger on the 3rd fret of the B, 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the D, and 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the G. And then it's right back into the pattern, and it's a D chord. And then A, back to D, B minor, F sharp minor again, G to D. That's that part. It might go G to A to D there sometimes, like the second time, but and then somewhere in there you can start to, that's that section, and then somewhere in there you can start to kind of transition into more of a strum, because then it's really strumming when it gets to that like instrumental part, and that's D major to D major 7, which is just barring across the 2nd fret on the G, the B, and the E while playing the open D, to B minor, to G, and then repeat that. D for 2 measures, D major 7, B minor, G, and then it stays on the G for another 4 bars. And then the first time that leads you right back to the verse, and the second time it ends there. All right. There'll be a tab available at my Patreon, link in the description. Let me know any questions. Hopefully that sort of hybrid picking strumming thing kind of comes together for you. It's a fun thing to mess around with. Just remember to keep the thumb moving. All right, thanks for watching.